We're on the cusp of another stimulus bill being passed in potentially just a few weeks from now. We had a stimulus bill passed back in December, and we have even more paycheck protection updates to cover that. This is honestly the best update yet for anyone who is an independent contractor, sole proprietor. Chances are you're going to get a much larger paycheck protection loan because of this rule change. This is huge. Also, this has been a chaotic morning for me. I mean, it's only just about 10 a.m. right now, and I feel like I've done an entire day's worth of work already, so I just need a sip of coffee. All right. So the Biden administration just unveiled this fact sheet yesterday that covers all the changes that they did to the Paycheck Protection Program. And this is months after the program has already been open. So this is all kind of chaotic, especially because banks and lenders have already, finally just started getting their application process streamlined, ready to go. And then there's some changes, but they are really good changes because, we're running into a problem here where many independent contractors, sole proprietors, self-employed people, they have tax write-offs. So then that way you show less net income at the end of the year. But then the Paycheck Protection Program is based on net income. So there's certain people who just aren't really getting much or anything at all. So there's a change that's going to help you out in a huge way. Let's just go over the fact sheet here. All right, so we have the Biden-Harris administration increases lending to small businesses in need, announces changes to the Paycheck Protection Program to further promote equitable access to relief. So it starts off with some statistics here. Small businesses account for 44% of the US GDP, and I think employs more than 50% of all people, and it says creates 2/3 of new jobs, which of course small businesses are very important. And it says the share of funding for the Paycheck Protection Program has increased with the smallest businesses. It says businesses with fewer than 10 employees up nearly 60%. The share of funding going to small businesses in rural areas up 30%, and through minority depository institutions up more than 40%. However, I will say with these statistics, they're not the greatest statistics because I've also seen a number that said only 3% of solo operators, 3% of eligible solo operators have received a PPP loan. So, an increase of 40% is great, but if that increased from 100 people, that's only 40 more people. I think the starting number was very low. And I think they're realizing this program needs some changes for the smallest operators, the smallest business owners, Uber drivers, contractors, nurses, people like that. Okay, so getting into the changes here, Biden-Harris administration is announcing several reforms to build on this success by targeting further the smallest businesses. So the first thing that we talked about yesterday is there's a 14-day period that starts tomorrow where only businesses with fewer than 20 employees can apply for that 14-day period. Now that is a great change. It's awesome. It means more focus from the banks onto these smaller institutions, onto these smaller businesses. And if you already have your application in, chances are the processing time is just going to be a little bit faster because of this. However, 98% of small businesses have fewer than 20 employees. So most of the applications are going to be fewer than 20 employees, but it's still a move in the right direction to help out the smallest of the small very first, in my opinion. But we already talked about that. So moving on from here, another goal to help sole proprietors, independent contractors, and self-employed individuals receive more financial support. Now, this is the huge change. Now, this section doesn't explain it very well, but let's just cover what they say first. So these types of businesses, which include home repair contractors, beauticians, and small independent retailers, make up a significant majority of all businesses. Of these businesses, those without employees are 70% owned by women and people of color, yet many are structurally excluded from the Paycheck Protection Program or were approved for as little as $1 because of how PPP loans are calculated. Now, this is what I was saying with the net income versus gross income requirement. Someone like an Uber driver, I've seen this thousands of times. If you're an Uber driver, you get to write off mileage on your taxes. I think it's like 55 cents a mile. And what that happens is at the end of the tax year, you have very little net income to show, even though you actually took home a good amount of money. And it just means that you can't receive that big of a PPP loan because until now, your PPP loan was your net income divided by 12 times 2.5. Well, if your net income is only like $1,000, then your PPP loan is very small, and some lenders just don't want to do small loans. So there's going to be a change to gross income, and I have this here that can kind of help explain what's going on. So the SBA is revising the formula for calculating maximum loan amounts. Schedule C filers will be able to calculate their PPP loan amount using the gross income on line 7 of your 1040 Schedule C. So take a look at line 7, then you'll be able to divide that by 12, multiply it by 2.5, and the calculation should be much, much higher. Also, it's going to set aside $1 billion for Schedule C applicants that don't have employees that are located in LMI census tract, so lower income census tract. So there's a little bit more push there. $1 billion isn't a whole lot, but it's definitely a step in the right direction if you ask me. And there's more information to come. Now, this hasn't happened yet. That's important to note. It's scheduled to happen tomorrow. So if you apply for the Paycheck Protection Program today, the changes don't happen until tomorrow. Here's the thing though. If you use a lender like the one that I've been recommending, Womply, which is linked in the description, if you haven't applied already, you can apply there. They are saying if you apply and then the rule changes, they'll be able to change the calculation as long as your loan isn't too far in the process. So if you just applied, chances are you're going to be okay, and they will use the gross income calculation. If you haven't applied yet, you might want to just wait until tomorrow. So my recommendation, take out your phone, set a reminder for, 10 a.m. tomorrow, and just do a little reminder, say, Max says finish your PPP loan. And then go and click that Womply link, or you can even start it and then just finish the application. That's probably the best way to do it. Put in your initial information on the actual application, just so you're sent an email, and then you just have an email you need to click and finish the application tomorrow. So just set a notification on your phone if you haven't applied yet, and then that way you can use gross income because they're on top of it and they're expecting to be able to have the gross income calculation tomorrow when it is official that we can use gross income. So that is huge. So there's a few other changes here. They're saying consistent with the bipartisan bill, they want to eliminate the exclusionary restriction that prevents small business owners with prior non-fraud felony convictions from obtaining relief through the Paycheck Protection Program. Also eliminate an exclusionary restriction that prevents small business owners who are delinquent on their federal student loans from obtaining the PPP. So if you're delinquent on student loans, you'll still be able to get the PPP. And then same with those who are non-citizen small business owners who have ITIN numbers, you will also be able to get the PPP loan. And then from here, we just have some more minor changes, but addressing waste, fraud, and abuse across all federal programs. So basically, they're just saying that the SBA is now changing up kind of their review process. They do manual reviews on the largest PPP loans and then kind of random sampling for any other loan besides that. But most of it should be done on your lender's end. That's an issue that we ran into where the lenders were doing checks and then the SBA was doing checks, and there just wasn't perfect communication between the systems of each, and it was auto-denying people on the SBA's end. So they're working on that. It also says promoting transparency and accountability by improving the PPP loan application. And it says that they encourage you to add demographic data on your loan. So it's an option to add like personal information on the loan. That way they have better reporting. You, of course, don't have to do that. And improving the emergency relief digital front door. The Biden-Harris administration is working to update key areas of SBA websites to help more applications find resources. That's the reason why you're all watching this video, because the resources are so hard to find. But I'll be happy to keep providing the best resources I possibly can and give context I can and be able to talk to my connections and try to smooth out answers and respond to as many comments as I can. I've responded to probably 3,000 comments in the last week about the PPP. If I haven't responded to yours, I'm sorry. I'm doing the best I possibly can. And then just to finish off here, continuing to conduct extensive stakeholder outreach to learn more about challenges and opportunities in the implementation of current relief programs. Basically, not enough people know about these programs. Also, if you know someone who owns any kind of small business, make sure they apply for this program. Just make sure they apply. There's so much confusion around it. It is a forgivable loan, completely forgivable. And then enhance current lender engagement model. So they're just working with lenders a little bit more. This model will increase the opportunity for lenders to provide recommendations and ask questions about the PPP, which is definitely a good idea. So we have some exciting changes coming up very soon with the Paycheck Protection Program. Of course, I will update you again tomorrow once this is official. And again, if you had a low or negative net income, set yourself a reminder, start the application, link in the description, set yourself a reminder to finish that application tomorrow using your gross income calculation. Get a big old forgivable loan, get it forgiven, and get thousands of dollars in stimulus in your bank account. So thank you for watching and have a profitable day. Stimulus Jesus coming in hot. Max. Maher.